Most dashboards don't fail because they are poorly designed. They fail because they are structurally unpredictable. And that distinction changes everything. In many organizations today, dashboards look impressive. They are interactive. They are visually polished. They are built with modern tools like Power BI. They give the impression of control, of clarity, of data-driven decision-making. On the surface, everything appears to be working. Executives have access to numbers. Reports are updated regularly. Visuals look clean and professional. But something subtle begins to happen over time. Executives start to question the dashboards. Not immediately, not explicitly, but gradually. A KPI looks slightly different from last week. A number changes when a filter is applied. A total doesn't reconcile with a finance report. At first, these seem like small inconsistencies, but over time, they form a pattern. And once that pattern is noticed, something critical begins to erode. Trust. There's a specific moment when dashboards lose credibility. It's not when they're first deployed. It's not when a bug appears. It's when an executive stops relying on them for decisions. That moment often looks like this. A leadership meeting is underway. A dashboard is on the screen. A number is questioned. Someone says, "That doesn't match what we saw last week." Another responds, "It depends on the filter." And then someone suggests, "Let's export it to Excel and check." At that moment, everything changes. The meeting is no longer about decisions. It becomes about validation. And from that point forward, the dashboard is no longer a decision tool. It becomes a reference point, one that requires verification. And anything that requires verification cannot be fully trusted. When trust declines, organizations often misdiagnose the problem. They assume the issue is the design, the visuals, the user training, or even the tool itself. So they respond logically. They improve layouts. They add more charts. They build more dashboards. Sometimes they even switch platforms. These actions create activity, but they do not create trust because they focus on what is visible. And the real problem is not visible. The real issue is structural instability. Most dashboards are built on systems that were never designed as architecture. They evolve incrementally. A data set is connected. A relationship is created. A few measures are added. A dashboard is built. Then new requirements appear. More measures are added. More tables are connected. Logic becomes layered and complex. Over time, the system grows, but without structure, and this creates instability. Metrics behave differently depending on context. Calculations are not consistently defined. Data models lack a clear grain. Relationships create unintended interactions. From a technical perspective, everything may still work, but from a decision-making perspective, the system becomes unpredictable. And here's the key insight. Executives don't trust accuracy. They trust predictability. A dashboard does not need to be perfect, but it must behave consistently. If a KPI shows a value at a high level, executives expect that applying a filter will produce a logical result. Drilling down will reconcile with the total. Another department will report the same number. When these expectations are not met, even occasionally, doubt is introduced, and doubt spreads quickly because decision-making depends on confidence. Without confidence, dashboards become optional. One of the most dangerous aspects of this problem is that dashboards often appear to be working. They load quickly. They display data. They respond to filters. From the outside, they look functional, but functionality is not reliability. A dashboard can be correct in one context and incorrect in another. It can produce the right number in a summary view, but the wrong number when filtered. It can align with one dataset, but not with another. This creates a dangerous situation. The dashboard works often enough to be used, but inconsistently enough to never be fully trusted. And that is where most organizations operate. At its core, this problem exists because most organizations never design a reporting architecture. They design dashboards. They design visuals. They design reports. but they do not design the system that supports them. A proper reporting architecture defines the grain at which data is modeled, the structure of fact and dimension tables, the rules governing relationships, the definition of KPIs across the organization, the layering of calculation logic. Without this structure, every dashboard becomes a custom solution, and custom solutions do not scale. They conflict, they overlap, they diverge. Modern tools like Power BI are extremely powerful, but they are often misunderstood. They are not just visualization tools. They are semantic modeling engines. They define how data behaves. But if that behavior is not intentionally designed, the tool will not enforce it. Instead, it will simply reflect whatever structure is given to it, which means a powerful tool built on weak architecture produces unreliable outputs. This is why switching tools rarely solve the problem. The issue is not the platform. It is the absence of structure. To restore trust in reporting, organizations must shift their mindset from asking, how do we build better dashboards, to asking, how do we build reliable reporting systems? This is a fundamental shift. It moves the focus away from visuals and towards structure. It requires defining data grain before modeling, designing structured schemas, aligning KPI definitions across stakeholders, separating calculation layers clearly, and validating outputs systematically. Only after that should dashboard be built, because dashboards are not the foundation. They are the final layer. And when the architecture is correct, everything changes. Metrics behave consistently. Numbers reconcile across views. Departments align on definitions. And most importantly, executives stop questioning the data. Meetings shift from, are these numbers correct? To, what should we do next? Time is no longer spent explaining numbers. It is spent acting on them. And that is the real goal. Not better dashboards, but decision infrastructure. Because most organizations do not suffer from a lack of dashboards. They suffer from a lack of structure. If your dashboards break under pressure, the issue is not the tool, it's the reporting architecture. Follow Eden Data Studio for more on reporting architecture and decision infrastructure, or comment ERM to go deeper.